to the Relationship Revivalist podcast. My name is Jon, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Jess.
Hey, Jon.
Hey, how are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm well. You know, today is a special day because we're all here having an amazing time, and, you know, we're blessed. And that's a mindset thing that I think we really all have to get under our belt, so to speak. You know, we're blessed because we're here. We're doing God's work. We're helping out our fellow man and woman. So, you know, I think that's something that a message that I think we all need to listen to and get into our hearts, don't you think?
That's so true. Yeah, God is so amazing at blessing us, and His promises are yes and amen, and He's promised to bless us, and we're so excited to be able to share some of His message today with you. And Jon, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about being a united front. I think it's key in doing this because when you're a united front, there's not a whole lot that can get into your marriage, your relationship that's going to cause havoc. And I don't know if Jess, if you want to just
in the Bible it says you must leave your family and cleave to your spouse when you're a married couple. So that is a huge part of being a united front. And we like to think of it this way, kind of a visual way. You know, if you have your arms locked together like this, there's not much space in between you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever played that children's game where you have all your arms locked together and somebody from the other side tries to run at you. If you are strong together, they can't get through, right?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I was really... I learned this by marrying Jess. I did not know about being a united front prior to this. And, you know, it kind of seems to have some evidences there too, because when I was in my previous relationships, my previous marriages, there was no boundaries really. I guess there was a little bit with my second wife, but being united front was something foreign to me until I met Jess. And Jess, maybe you can tell them how you came to know about all of this.
Oh, sure. Yeah, boundaries in my family were a pretty big deal, actually. You know, I was raised very clearly knowing that some things like if I wanted to ask one of my little friends when I was a little girl, if they could come over for the afternoon or whatever, and I was asking right in front of my little friend, I was asking my mom right in front of my little friend, it would be a no, not at that time. And then I learned very quickly that I could not ask in front of the person that I wanted to invite over. I'd have to ask my parents privately. And so that, you know, boundaries like that, you know, and also a big one, and you know, this is something to watch out for kids doing because they learn it really quickly if they can get by with it. Mm-hmm. But in my family, it was a huge no. Whatever you're asking for. If you asked mom and she said no, and then you went and asked dad, once they found out what was going on, that was shut down really quick. You didn't get the thing and you got in trouble too. So it's, you know, boundaries are very important. But the cool thing about boundaries is if everyone knows the kind of the rules of the game, mm-hmm. then you can play the game. And you don't have to get your feelings hurt because then you don't have to say, well, it's not fair. Well, it is fair because it was very clearly lined out and we're just going by the plan now.
Yeah.
And in a relationship, it's the same way. So what a united front does and what boundaries do, it really helps safeguard that precious relationship that you have mm-hmm. with your mate. And so it's important that you become a united front very, very quickly. And that's one of the first things you can do to safeguard your marriage while you're working on all the other stuff, all the other issues. Because that's a way you can portray yourselves kind of like us against the world,
yeah.
if you will. And so if you make it very clear to your family, to your friends, to mm-hmm. whoever you're in contact with, that you are a united front, and if you ask me one question and you ask Jon the same thing, you're going to get the same answer. Mm-hmm. So that it has to do with communication, it has to do with boundaries, it has to do with kind of making those rules mm-hmm. and what you're going to allow and what you're not going to allow. And it's so important to keep that up, to keep that ongoing. And back to the question, how did you learn this? Well, yeah, like I said from the beginning, I was raised with boundaries, very strong, important boundaries as a child, and it really helped guide my youth and guide my life in a certain path. And then I internalized those boundaries also for myself, and became to also love boundaries myself, because I saw how much easier it can make your life. You know, you don't have to go into certain, like, you know, when you're on God's path, you're on this road with him, you don't have to end up in the ditch if you keep those boundaries in your life, you know. And so, and you know, it's okay if you do end up in the ditch. He'll get you out. He'll get you right back on a straight path. But it makes it so much easier if you don't even go there.
Yeah, and you know, if you're a solid wall boundary, you know, the Bible talks about being a 3-braided cord, and part of that 3-braided cord is your relationship being that boundary, that wall of no, you can't enter this. The third part has got to always be God. It always has to be God, because you know, I'm sure if you're listening here, you've probably said, well, it's me and my spouse and maybe my mom or my mother-in-law or some other family members kind of inserted them into so there's always like a 3-pronged relationship. And the healthy one is when you have you and your relationship plus God, and not your relationship plus another family member or friend. That's where you got to raise the red flags and say, hey, we got to stop this. We got to cut that off and say, hey, we're looking to have a relationship that is amazing. And as we talk about all the time, have that explosive love relationship. It's there for you to have. You just have to have the you have to have the knowledge and the strategies to do that. Put those things in place, and that's what we're teaching you on this page.
Yeah, and it's really important at any stage of your marriage, any stage of relationship, to really think about, who am I letting into this middle spot? And if it's any human, you need to shut that out right away. We're not saying you don't see your family anymore. That's not what we're saying at all.
Right.
But you just need to make it very clear. And often it's not even by the words you're saying, like, we're a united front now, so you can't come into this area. Sometimes it gets to that point where you do have to be very specific, you know, like, Mom, you cannot do this, or Dad, you cannot do this, or whoever it is that might be trying to get into that spot, you know, and giving that advice that's not warranted or whatever. But so often it's more subtle than that. How you portray, you know, this united front to everyone. It's so often more by your actions and how you've already agreed on something before you're talking about it with other people. And also, you know, if you're going to have an argument, which is very normal in a marriage, maybe don't have an argument right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe go to a private place and talk about it if it's a really important issue. So no one really sees you, you know, nagging at each other or saying words at each other.
Disagreeing.
Right?
Yeah, you really want to
Exactly.
protect, especially if you have kids, you really want to protect their ears. You want to protect their minds. You don't want to just fly off the handle and start talking all this other stuff that may affect how they think and act through life. You're talking kids that are, you know, if they're 5, 6, 10 years old, 15 years old, they're impressionable whether you know it or not. And they're always looking up to you. I would say even past the age of when they're legally an adult, they probably still look up to you because you are their parent. And so you really have to put that parent face on. I know when I was raising my daughter, I mistakenly, I don't say the word mistakenly too heavy, but I think if I would have done it differently, I would have done it just a little bit differently. I was more of a friend than I was a parent. And we all know that when you do that, you become the friend rather than the parent. And then they think they can get away with things because you're just the friend. I have changed that since then. And I think, you know, knowing that my daughter is now in the adult stage, and she's made me a grandpa three times over, and I'm so happy and proud of her for that. I think that she's really grown in relationship stages of learning how to be the best partner that she can be. We tell her the same things we tell you guys, that being a boundary, having boundaries, and having that united front is the key to an amazing relationship. So, do we have anything to add for the rest of this?
I think we've covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I would like to say, if you are in at all wanting to know the strategies to have an explosive love relationship, I would say go ahead and download our PDF. And moreover, download our PDF. It's going to be at therelationshiprevivalist.com/7 secrets. And that PDF is going to go through, it's going to introduce us. It's going to give you guys some background on where we're coming from, and basically tell you some of the strategies that we use in our relationship. United Front is one of those. So go ahead and download that PDF. It's free. It's at therelationshiprevivalist.com/7 secrets.
To learn more about becoming a United Front, be sure to download our free ebook. All the links are in the show notes. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.